What's up, guys? Welcome back to VIBENATION. Today we're here to watch another video. Today we're here to watch the other half of, well, not necessarily the other half, but we're here to watch the rest of 12 Horror Stories animated compilation of June 2019 by 1C Entertainment. I am loving this so far. So let's go ahead and get back into this. The links will be in the description down below. If you want to watch part 1, please check out my other videos. I'll probably put it in like little boxes that, you know, at the end of the video, you know what I'm talking about if you're on YouTube long enough and have been living underneath the rock. So let's get into this in 3, 2, 1, play. The man in my brother's closet. Oh no.
This happened 2 months ago in January of 2019. My parents went out to a party. They told me they wouldn't be back until at least 3 a.m. in the morning because the party was supposed to start at 8 p.m. and the party was going to be in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
We live in Connecticut, so it takes a while to get there and back. They told me to watch my 10-year-old brother and expected me to be responsible because I'm 15 years old. When they left, we watched movies all night while eating a bunch of popcorn. It was around 11:30, and we just finished watching Infinity War.
Long way to go to a party,
I told
bro.
my brother to brush his teeth and go to bed. I stayed up later than him to watch the movie Logan. The movie ended, and it was around 2 in the morning. I was getting ready for bed when my brother came down the stairs. I asked him what he was still doing up, and he said the boogeyman was in his closet and wanted to touch him. I looked at him in confusion. My brother isn't the type of kid to pull pranks or joke around. He wanted me to check it out. I said fine and started saying he probably just heard a house noise. He said he heard a noise coming from his closet, and when he checked inside, the boogeyman was there and said he wanted to touch him. We went inside his room. I turned on the light and we went to the closet door. I opened it, and what I saw made me seriously angry. There was a tall, scruffy-looking man with...
I'll beat him where he stand. Touch my brother. What? 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 Oh, no, son. He ain't going down like that. I'd be like, oh, you want to touch something, eh? Okay. Go downstairs, get the fire extinguisher, hose his ass. Go ahead, go and get the wooden sword. Beat his ass. Then call the cops so they can go ahead and nightstick his ass while handcuffing him and put his ass in the cop car. It's like, sue me, YouTube. Like, come on.
With long, black, greasy hair. He looked as if he was in his mid-40s and was fairly built.
Oh, mess him up.
I was pissed off when I saw this creep watching my 10-year-old brother sleep, and I figured out what my brother meant when he said the boogeyman wanted to touch him. I was so pissed off. I punched his throat.
Ooh!
He dropped to the floor gasping for air, but I stepped on his face as hard as I could at least 6 times. He was covered in blood and was having trouble breathing.
He broke his nose.
I grabbed my brother and ran into the bathroom, locking the door and calling the cops. Then I called my parents. My parents freaked out. In about 10 minutes, the cops showed up and searched the bedroom. He wasn't in there. They searched the house. He wasn't anywhere to be found. I gave them a good description of his appearance, and an officer even stayed at our house until sunrise. A week later, I was informed that the same guy was caught and arrested for raping an 11-year-old boy and murdering his parents. It turns out he had raped multiple children before, and even murdered some of them and their parents. He was 47 years old and received a death sentence. If my brother never came downstairs to tell me what happened, then I fear the worst could have happened to him. And I'm extremely thankful that didn't happen.
Bruh, I can't, bruh. No. You should have beat him more. Then maybe those two maybe those 2 people would have survived, and that boy probably wouldn't have gone through something so traumatic. That's a sad ending to all that. But well, this is 12 horror stories. So let's continue. Unfortunately.
We used to have a maid from Indonesia, and her name is Wati. Well, one night it was probably around 2 a.m. Everyone was sleeping. Suddenly, my brother and I heard my maid weeping. She was crying softly. We thought she probably missed her family in Indonesia, so we just ignored her and went back to sleep. The next day, at the same time, around 2 a.m., she was weeping again. This went on and on for 3 months.
3 months.
And we
Y'all
told our
even
parents
check up?
about it, and everyone had the same thought. She probably missed her family back home. One night at 9 p.m., my brothers and I were chilling in the living room. My maid was in the kitchen washing dishes. My dad was fixing the kitchen light, and suddenly my dad saw a shadow running around in the storage room. My dad thought it was one of us playing around, so my dad called out to my brother, "Can you please get the light bulb from the drawer?" But no one answered. Then my dad shouted, "Hey, can someone help me out and get the light bulb for me?" Both of us ran towards my dad from the living room, which is on the opposite side of the storage room. My dad then got confused and asked us why we came from the living room. We got goosebumps and walked into the storage room. We switched the lights on and saw that there was no one there. However, we saw the maid shaking. She looked at us, then started weeping again. My dad asked, "Who was that and why are you weeping?" My maid then explained that it was her guardian from Indonesia. My dad asked her to call him out and he was going to call the police. But my maid stated that it was not a human.
No.
Summoned
Hold
to
up a minute.
protect-
Non-human? Guardian, hold up a minute. You're bringing demons into my house? You're bringing demons into my domicile? Deported! Like,
After that, my dad brought us to a nearby hotel for the night and hired a spiritual hunter to chase the spirit away. Following that incident, we no longer heard the maid weeping, and she was sent back to Indonesia 3 days after the incident. When I was around 5 or 6 years old, I experienced something that I can't really explain. I just came home from school one day and I decided I would play with my toy cars. When I opened the door to my room, I saw that all my cars were disorganized. I freaked out. I have OCD, and
I had a feeling so.
that's why I freaked out.
It's like when you said that they were all disorganized, I said that he's got OCD. This is the biggest thing that happened to him. He has OCD.
I then accused my mom of messing with my toys, but she swore she never touched them. I let it go. That night, I was asleep, and my dad was still up. He saw a kid go into the bathroom, and he thought it was me. He yelled, "Go back to bed." My mom thought he was crazy, especially since I was fully asleep. When my parents went to my room to check on me, I was knocked out on my bed. My dad went to sleep, and my mom did too. The next day, however, my mom had a creepy experience. She was walking down the hall with my laundry, and she was knocked over by someone. The crazy part is, I was in school, and my dad was at work. She was supposed to be alone in the house. She picked up the laundry that fell and placed them on my bed. After she left my room, however, she saw a picture lying on the floor. She picked it up and then fainted. I came home and saw her passed out on the floor. I got scared because I thought my mom was dead. She woke up only to start crying. She told me that she saw my baby cousin. I said, "So what?" But then she said, "Son, your cousin is dead." Turns out he was killed in an accident before I was born. Nothing else has happened since that day, but I'm convinced that those experiences won't be the last.
Unfortunately.
This happened when I was much younger. My brother was on the soccer team. Let's call him Sean. My family went to his soccer match, which was at a local park. This park included a huge soccer field and a playground area. I was getting bored of watching the game and went over to the playground, where I spotted this kid who had a Spider-Man web shooter on his wrist. Being a big fan of Spider-Man, I walked up to him. I asked him if it was the silly string shooting toy, and he nodded. Then he said, "I have another one in my family's car. I'll show you." So he led me over to his van that was parked in the parking lot near.
What are you doing? What, we're using children now to lure other children for your nefarious deeds? For shame.
Nearby. He began to crawl in. His father was in the front seat. He gave me a weird, creepy grin, but I still started to climb into the van.
Don't you do it!
Out of nowhere, I heard my father shouting my name. I was pushed out by the kid and he slammed the van door shut. The van sped off and my dad ran towards me and hugged me. After that, my family and my brother left the game. If my father didn't notice I had left the playground or was a minute late, I don't know where I'd be right now. I just want to tell any parent who is either reading or listening to this, please, drill "don't follow strangers" into your kid's head.
Creating great video is hard, really hard. But do you know one of the parts that sucks?
When I was 4 years old, my family and I used to live in a huge apartment. Along with the apartment complex was a huge basement where we could do our laundry. However, in order to get there, we had to take the elevator. One day, my mom was doing the laundry. My brothers and I accompanied her. My two brothers were playing together. Meanwhile, I was wandering off to the dark basement's hallway. As I walked in further, I saw bloody footprints that were the same size as my feet. I followed the footsteps, and they suddenly stopped at the end of the hallway. I looked up and I saw two kids, a boy with brown hair and brown eyes and a girl with blonde hair and brown eyes. They were both my age. There was something odd about them, but like any other 5-year-old, I just ignored it. I turned my head around to see if there was anyone else in the hallway, but there wasn't. As I turned my head around to look at the kids again, they vanished. I was confused. I mean, how could that be possible? There was only a wall in front of me. A few days later, I was getting into the elevator. As soon as I entered, I saw the kids again. I asked them where their mom and dad were, but they didn't respond. I turned around and I pressed the button to go to the 3rd floor, and as I turned back to them, again, they were gone. I was shocked. So I told the janitor about what happened. Apparently, there was a horrible situation some time ago. A family used to live here and the parents killed their own children. Now their ghosts haunt the whole complex in search for their bodies. Several years have passed and we moved out. But I still wonder if they ever ended up finding their bodies.
Not to say that that's something that how do you walk away from something like that? You see ghosts and you just like, you know what? Maybe they're friendly. And you know, they're looking for their bodies. They won't bother me. Nah, man, it's only bad. It's only okay until they start to try to possess you. Nah, man. Nah. Go ahead and grab my Dolce & Gabbana perfume infused with holy water. Spritz it on me right there. Now I'm good. And to that maid, how dare you bring demons into my home? How dare you? Get out of here. Because there ain't no way you're going to bring something here talking about guardians. You know what you're weeping? You know why you're weeping? Because the reason why you're weeping because you've made a deal with this thing and had it feasting on our souls. No, you can go ahead and you can stay right back where you were in Indonesia, far away from me, my family, where our souls are nothing for whatever you brought in to feast on. No, I'm not having it. And on top of that, please, parents, drill your kids. Don't let them follow any other kids. Don't let them follow adults. Teach them to be safe. I'll tell you this, once they get older and they start learning all this street rules, street laws and everything, learn how to go ahead and, You don't have to do a thing for people. Just safe and mind your own business. You ain't nobody you ain't know. I ain't got nothing to do with you, bro. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This has been Vibe Nation, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.